Welcome to me, where suspenseful, thrilling, and mysterious stories will draw you into a world where the lines between reality and fantasy seem to blur. When the night falls, when all the sounds gradually quiet down, leaving only your own heartbeat and breathing, that's when these stories begin. Tensions, unsolved mysteries, moments that will make you hold your breath in fear or curiosity, all are waiting for you ahead. Find a comfortable seat, dim the lights, and let this sound guide you on a journey that is not for the faint of heart. I want each of you to leave a comment sharing where you are in the world. And if you are enjoying the episodes, don't forget to give a like and subscribe to the channel now. Relax. Are you ready? If so, join me in the first story right now, The Woman and the Beast. Professor Manda entered the lecture hall, and the entire auditorium fell silent upon noticing her presence. She tapped the floor as she walked in her blocked purple heels, which complemented her purple and green Ankara dress. Her braided hair was styled in a small bun, and she adorned her normal-sized earlobes with silver earrings. She looked the part as she stood in front of the people. She was the wife, the mother, and the first woman professor in her town. She stood at the podium and leaned forward into the microphone. She began to speak. It is said that a woman of greatness never sleeps at night. In the light of day, she is loved and respected by all. But in the stillness of the night, she is haunted by her own shadow. She paused to pose a question. What happens when you take a woman from the land she walks on and place her in waters that could either drown her or feed her to the creatures of the sea? Taking a sip of the black coffee prepared for her at the podium, laced with a shot of Irish whiskey at her request, she savored the acquired taste and answered her own question. I'll tell you one thing that a woman I know did when she didn't drown or get eaten. She floated in the water for as long as she could. Eventually, she started to swim in search of land, even territory that did not belong to her. Her instinct to survive became desperate when she discovered a small island in the middle of nowhere. She fell asleep for a while, only to wake up to the sound of her stomach growling. Her mouth was dry from a lack of water, and her body felt heavy since she hadn't eaten for days. Despite this, one thing grew stronger: a desperate need to survive at all costs. The water around her was calm, and while her body was weak, only her eyes showed signs of movement. She dived into the water and caught a large fish by its tail. The fish struggled for freedom, but she was too quick, pulling it out of the water, depriving it of air, and sinking her teeth into its flesh. Days passed, and her life began to change as she learnt to survive in the wild. During the day, she enjoyed sleeping, but when the moon rose, her eyes shone brighter because it was time to feed. All the small animals glared at her, the heartless intruder who killed them with no mercy. She fed on their uncooked flesh and stored their remains in the cool ground under the trees. The woman destroyed the homes of other creatures to build her own, cutting down trees to make a house. She had crossed the line that separates humans from animals. She had become like one of them, another creature in the world struggling to survive. The heat of the sun and the cold rain had not killed her. Her body was shaped like steel. Her muscles bulged. Her hair had grown wild, and her eyes resembled those of a mad woman. Yet, her need to survive had only grown stronger. This need had driven her out of her own humanity and transformed her into a beast. After all, who better than a beast could survive in such harsh conditions? With focus, the beast performed its tasks, replacing soft human hands with hard, strong ones. The brutal environment was suited only for a beast. Thus, she adapted to the harsh world that had transformed her body into that of the beast. One sunny day, the beast managed to push the makeshift raft into the ocean, battling against the waves as it sailed away. Looking back at the small island, the woman reclaimed what was left of her body and felt a pain in her chest. The hope she once had now returned in double amounts. Her raft sailed on the dark sea the entire night, but she was not afraid. While her vision may have been affected, her other senses were as sharp as a shaka's spear. In the morning, she could see the mainland in the distance. Hungry and tired, she thought about her favorite meal, enshima, cabbage, and dried fish. She remembered how her mother used to cook it for her, and the gentle voice that would wake her in the morning. Tears fell from her eyes as she finally felt human again. As she gazed at the mainland, she smiled and tried to scream, but her smile was crooked, and her scream was more of a whisper because the beast could neither smile nor scream. People looked at her in wonder, asking each other how the woman had managed to survive in the wild. They called her great and erected a monument in her memory. Books about her were written, and children learned of her bravery. Many years went by, but she never forgot her past because the beast's eyes would stare back at her in the mirrors of her house. She couldn't accept the fact that without the beast, she wouldn't be alive. The audience was quiet, expecting more of an explanation from the professor's strange story. Then she cleared her throat and took another sip of her coffee. As the hot liquid went down her throat, she said shakily, "Only losers drown in earthly miseries or die by becoming a beast. Sometimes, just sometimes, one has to become a nightmare in order to live in her dreams. And with that comes the consequences of that decision. There was dead silence after that. Then, after a minute, a faint clap sparked the whole crowd to applaud and finally give her a standing ovation. Professor Manda walked to a covered figure and unveiled an erected statue of her at the entrance of the auditorium. Many students flocked to her to get their copies of her latest book signed. The day felt long, and she was thankful it had finally come to an end as she entered her house at midnight. She staggered to her children's bedroom and saw that they were sleeping. The coffee had done its job, making her feel tipsy. She entered her own room and was greeted by her husband's loud snoring. As she stepped further inside, she took off her earrings and placed them on her vanity table. However, when she looked up, she suddenly screamed at the reflection staring back at her. Burn the house. Down. Did you hear what happened to the old house on Birch Street? No? What? It burned down. Burned down? How? Nobody knows for sure. People are saying it was arson. Arson? That place was empty for years. Who would bother? That's what everyone's asking. But there were lights on the night before. Lights? You're serious? As a heart attack. I saw it myself. You were there? Well, I was passing by, took a shortcut through the park, and you didn't think to tell anyone. I didn't think it mattered. Thought maybe the city finally sent someone to clear it out. The city? They don't even fix the street lights. Why would they bother with that house? You're probably right. But who else would be in there? Kids, maybe? You know, messing around. That's what I thought at first. But what? I saw someone. Someone? Yes, a man. Or at least, I think it was a man. You think? What does that mean? It was dark, okay? I couldn't see clearly. But there was someone moving around inside. Did they see you? No. At least, I don't think so. I kept my distance. What were they doing? It looked like they were carrying something. A bag, maybe. A bag? Like a duffel bag? Could have been. Hard to tell from where I was. And then they disappeared. Into the back of the house. That's weird. You didn't hear anything? No. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Did you notice anything else? There was a smell. A smell? Like gasoline. Gasoline? Are you kidding me? No, I swear. I didn't think much of it at the time. How could you not? Gasoline in an old house? That's a red flag. I know that now, okay? But at the time, I just thought it was, I don't know, maybe they were fixing something. Fixing something? In that house? I wasn't thinking clearly. So what did you do after that? I kept walking. You just left? Yeah, and you didn't tell anyone? Who was I supposed to tell? The cops? They wouldn't believe me. Maybe they would have, after it burned down. Look, I didn't know it was gonna burn down. Still, this is bad. I know it is. That's why I've been freaking out. Does anyone else know you were there? No? Not yet, anyway. You sure about that? Yeah. What if someone saw you? Nobody saw me. You can't be certain. I'm telling you, I was careful. But if they find out, they won't. You're awfully confident for someone who's in the middle of this mess. What mess? I didn't do anything. You were there. That's enough to make it messy. So what are you saying? I'm saying you better figure out what you're gonna do if someone starts asking questions. Like who? The cops, for starters. Why would they come to me? I don't know. Maybe they've got cameras or something. Cameras? At that old place? Or nearby? Someone could have seen you. They're just trying to scare me. No. I'm trying to make you think. I am thinking. And I think you're overreacting. Am I? Yeah. Nobody cares about me walking past some abandoned house. Maybe. But what if they find out about the gasoline? What about it? I didn't put it there. Doesn't matter. You were there, you smelled it, and you didn't report it. So what? Is that a crime? Maybe not, but it sure makes you look bad. This is insane. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying you're connected now. Connected how? By walking through the park? By seeing something? Fine. Let's say the cops come. What am I supposed to tell them? The truth. The truth? Yeah. You walked by, saw lights, smelled gasoline, and kept going. And you think that's gonna make me look less suspicious? Better than lying. I don't know. This feels all wrong. What's your alternative? I don't know. Maybe just keep quiet? Bad idea. Why? Because secrets have a way of coming out. You don't understand. If I say something, they might think I was involved. Not saying anything makes you look more involved. This is a nightmare. It's not that bad. Not that bad? You just said, I'm connected to a house that burned down. Look, you're not the one who set it on fire, but they don't know that. Then, make them know. How? By being honest. Honest? With cops? That's a joke. You got a better plan? No. Then maybe stop freaking out and just deal with it. Easy for you to say. You weren't there, and I'm trying to keep you from making it worse. Fine. Let's say I tell them. Then what? Then you answer their questions and move on. Just like that? Yeah. You don't think they'll dig deeper? Into what? You didn't do anything. I don't know. What if there's more to this? Like what? Like, what if that guy I saw was the one who started the fire? Then it's even more important that you say something. You're not getting it. What if he saw me? Okay. Let's think this through. There's nothing to think about. If he saw me, I'm screwed. Not necessarily. How do you figure? He doesn't know who you are. What if he does? How? Did you talk to him? No. Then relax. Relax? Are you serious? Yes. You're overthinking this. Overthinking? Someone torched a house, and I was there. You weren't in the house. But I saw him, and he didn't see you. You don't know that. If he did, don't you think he would have come after you? Maybe. Or maybe he's waiting. For what? I don't know. To make sure I don't talk. You're spiraling. Am I? What if this guy's dangerous? He might be. All the more reason to go to the cops. I can't. Why not? Because if I talk and he finds out, you're making this bigger than it is. Am I? Yeah. I don't think you get how serious this is. I do. And that's why you need to stop hiding. I can't. You can. No, I can't. What if... Stop. Listen to yourself. What? You're working yourself up over nothing. Nothing? Yeah. You think this is nothing? Compared to what it could be? Yeah. What does that mean? It means you're not the one who burned the house down. And that's all that matters. I wish I could believe that. You should. I don't know. Then figure it out fast. Because this isn't going away. What do you mean? Sooner or later, someone's gonna come knocking. And when they do, be ready. I hope you're right. I am. You better be. I am. Eye of the horse. Oh my God! Shrieked the women, sitting in the airport van, third and fourth row bench seats, as the frigid air rushed in. No! I yelled, now alone and motionless in the second row. I never saw a guy die before, but I wasn't totally surprised by what happened. The door just opened and out he went, sobbed one of the gals in the rear of the van. His body slammed onto the pavement of Pena Boulevard at 70 Mamie, then was splattered by the U.S. Foods 18-wheeler behind us. Steak delivery to Elway's Tap Room and Grill at Denver International Airport was definitely delayed that day. I wish I had never started a conversation with the guy next to me on American Flight 5460 Louisville to Denver. Or maybe I should have warned him to just close his eyes. That day won't stop playing back in my mind. It started innocently enough. "Hi, I'm Jim from Meeker." "Where are you from?" I said to the guy in the window seat. "My wife Annie says that if I get the middle seat, I should always make friends with my neighbors to avoid any armrest fights." I flashed him my biggest gas and oil business smile. "Oh, hello. I'm Brian from Kentucky. Well, at least originally," he replied while extending his oddly sweaty hand. "Where's Meeker?" "Actually, I live on a horse ranch just west of Meeker in northwestern Colorado. Horse country, just like you in Kentucky." I pulled up the bottom of my boot-top business jeans so he could see my Tony Lamas. "Oh, hell no. I don't live anywhere near horses now, and never will. I'm a lawyer for the U.S. Department of the Interior." Brian's upper lip was sprouting beads of sweat with that comment. He looked like a size 48 man in a size 44 suit coat. I thought that might explain the perspiration. "That's too bad," I said. God never made another animal so connected to human beings, except for maybe dogs. My stallion's big brown eyes can look straight into my soul. After a rough day of selling natural gas and fracking pumps, there's nothing like some quality horse time. "Mind if I ask what happened between you and a horse?" "Oh yeah. You could say something happened. I was 15 years old, and a bunch of us decided to cut across a horse field to take a shortcut home from the school bus drop off. Out of nowhere, this huge old gray horse charged at us and damn near bit me as we escaped over the fence. It had one scarred eye socket, and the other eye was all red and bulging and bloodshot. Scared the shit out of me. I fell off the fence and broke my right wrist. I cursed that horse, and I think he cursed me. Look, it never did heal right." Brian pulled up his sleeve, held up his meaty right arm, and revealed a wrist that was weirdly bent like a spoon. "Yeah, I can see how that would spook you. How did the horse lose its eye?" "How the hell am I supposed to know? I was just a kid, and I sure didn't have anything to do with it." From that day on, old One Red Eye charged up to the fence and acted like it wanted a piece of me anytime it saw us walking along the road by his pasture. "Hey, have you seen a stewardess yet? I really need a drink." Now Brian's hands were trembling a little. Our jet pivoted onto the runway. All eyes looked forward. Engine jets roared, and we accelerated with 3 Gs pulling us backwards into the seats. Then the wheels were up, and we were airborne. "Hey, darling, could you please get my friend here an old-fashioned? And could you please put it on my credit card?" Flight 5460 stewardesses looked like they were recruited from the geriatric ward, older and slower than the spry, shapely young ones from the good old days of air travel. After a few gulps, Brian's hands stopped shaking, but his mouth kept on running. That's not all, Jim. I biked across country when I was 25 years old and almost got trampled to death by wild horses. My buddy and I were in Warm Springs, Nevada, the middle of nowhere in Nye County, with the largest wild horse herd in America. Warm Springs had a one-building combined bar/restaurant/gas station/grocery store. We were exhausted after biking the 50 miles from Tonopah in 100-degree heat, and asked the barkeep if it was okay to pitch our tent for the night near the picnic table beside his establishment. He said, "I don't give a shit." So we did. We conked out right away, and hours later woke up to the sound of thunder. Then the noise became deafening, and the ground and tent walls really shook. I peeked out between the tent flaps and saw nothing but the hooves, shanks, and fetlocks of hundreds of wild horses. It wasn't an earthquake. We were in the middle of a fucking wild horse stampede. Brian's eyes were now bugging out, and his face was red, wet, and kind of wild looking as he continued. He leaned in toward me and spoke in a whisper. "Jim, I curled up in the goddamn fetal position, preparing to be killed by horses. I don't mind telling you that I actually pissed myself." The guy in the aisle seat, who I never did get to make friends with, heard what Brian said, shifted away from us, and put on his headphones. I guess he had overheard enough. I wish I had done the same. Brian gulped down a second old-fashioned and collected himself a bit. "Jim, when the noise stopped and the dust started to clear, we crawled out from our tent, expecting to find our bikes and our gear flattened and mangled. But Jim, not a single tent stake or guy rope was disturbed, and our stuff was untouched. There was no way I could sleep after that shit. And we had 75 miles of desert road with no water between Diablo and Ash Springs. So, my buddy insisted that we pack up and pedal before the sun came up. I wasn't too thrilled about him pushing the whole ride in the dark idea. Just as we made it to Diablo, I heard a sound like horses snorting off to our right. And Jim, I swear, I saw one of those wild horses staring right at me with two glowing red eyes. My buddy said I was seeing things, but I know what I saw. Right then, my bike freewheel jammed and sent me flying over the handlebars. I didn't break anything, but I whacked my shoulder and scraped the shit out of my leg. That was it for me. He rubbed his left shoulder like it happened yesterday. The armpits of his polyester suit coat were soaked. I wish I had told Brian that I needed to get some sleep before we landed in Denver, but I didn't. He might be alive today if I had ended our conversation right then and there. "Jim, don't you know the only building in Diablo, Nevada, was a road maintenance garage? The night shift worker there refused to lend us the use of their tools. Sorry, state property boys. So I stayed there till the sun rose and hitched a ride to Las Vegas and flew home. Instead of a relaxing flight home, I got the scare of my life. Brian took another swig from his drink. Jim, I sat next to this Navajo Indian dude on the plane ride home and told him my story, just like I'm talking to you. He was tall, wore a fancy black suit, and had his hair all pulled back and tied by a white cloth, but smelled like he just came from a campfire. He never said a word until he slowly turned toward me and said, "My people believe the sun-bearer created the horse and placed the stars and the dark universe in the horse's eyes so they can see the dark. You know darkness can kill a man. So can the number 3. Then he got up out of his seat and went to bathroom and never came back." With that, Brian's face tuned pale. I thought he was finally done with his weird story, but he leaned into me again and whispered, "Jim, I think he figured the horses see something dark in me, and I am afraid I'll die if a red-eyed horse looks into my eyes a 3rd time. So, no 3 strikes and you're out for me. No fucking thank you. I don't want to see another horse in my life. My sister just moved to downtown Denver, and I just want to visit her and maybe see a Nuggets basketball game. Yeah, I think some big city shopping and a pro basketball game would do you good, Brian," I said. But now he's dead. I told my wife Annie all of this when I got home. Honey, I was afraid to tell him about that 32-foot-high blue Mustang sculpture. You know, the one just outside the airport that has, of all things, 2 glowing red eyes. I was sure he would go into a full PTSD episode or a seizure if he knew that we call the statue Lucifer. Remember how a section of that 9,000-pound statue fell on that Jimenez guy who sculpted him, and how it crushed his leg and severed a big artery and caused him to bleed to death. I figured he didn't know the story of the crazy guy who hopped out of his car and fired his gun at Lucifer, then turned it on himself. Annie, after we landed, I rode in the same airport van on the same front bench seat as Brian, specifically to distract him as we passed by Lucifer. "You did everything you could to help that poor man, Jimmy," she said, trying to console me while she slipped into her nightgown. "Seems like it's the van company's fault for that sliding door not locking right, sweetie. At first, I didn't think Brian ever actually saw Lucifer's red eyes. But just after we passed that bastard blue Mustang, he looked at the driver's rear view mirror and saw Lucifer all reared up on his hind legs with those red eyes beaming. Brian looked at me, and before I could say anything, he just opened the van's side door, and out he went. I should have warned him about the statue. I could have saved him. Annie said, "Oh my God, sounds like that guy had deep issues, and nobody can save that kind of crazy." "Why don't you go down to the barn and check on your horses? They always calm you down." I couldn't tell her that I thought about horses and red eyes when I saw car taillights on the road ahead of me as I drove home that night. I couldn't tell her that I was worried about looking into my horse's eyes or what they would see in me. I couldn't tell her that on my last business trip, I had sat next to a Navajo Indian. He wore a black silk business suit, white button-down shirt with turquoise cufflinks, and a thin black leather necktie. His long black hair was pulled back in a traditional CL hair bun, and he smelled of burnt sage. He only spoke one sentence to me, and then got up to go to the bathroom and never returned. I hadn't even introduced myself yet. He simply turned to me and calmly asked, "Aren't you worried those natural gas and fracking pumps are harming Mother Earth?" The wrath of La Vipera, Nara. "How long has it been?" Ale's mouth was dry, but sweat dampened his lips. 47 minutes, a voice replied. Closing his eyes, Ale drew in as much breath as his lungs would allow, then let it out in a deep sigh. 47 minutes. It felt like hours. There was no clock on the wall, no sunlight in the windows, no way for him to gauge how long he'd been captive. He would just have to keep asking. He sat in a steel chair, his hands tied behind his back. The room around him was pitch dark, and though impossible, it seemed to be growing even darker. It would still be light outside. He'd been taken just before he was to meet his wife for dinner. But to him, it felt like night. The thought of his wife sent a sharp jolt of worry down his spine. Would she do as expected and try to rescue him? He could hope not, but that hope would be irrational. She would come for him. She was the reason he'd been taken in the first place. The only ounce of hope that remained was the certainty he had that she would not make rash decisions. She would plan. She would prepare. She wouldn't let her emotions fog her judgment. At least, he was pretty sure she wouldn't. He tried to use his brain. He tried to gather as much information as he could, but the room seemed to muddle his senses. The air was thin, hot, and smelled of dust. An attic? No, the floor was cool, hard, concrete. It felt small enough that had they not been tied, he could reach out his arms and touch both walls. But whoever spoke to him certainly was further than that. Their voice didn't bounce off the concrete floor. It didn't reverberate off any walls, but he could tell which direction it came from. They weren't close enough that he could sense them near him, but the room felt far too small for them to be more than an arm's length away. He would have to rely on something else. What could he remember? He had just left the house. His head was down, and he was fiddling with his car keys. He didn't see them coming. He was suddenly flung forward, having been shoved from behind with the force of a linebacker. He braced to hit the ground, but had been caught by two more pairs of hands. One, calloused and rough, covered his mouth as another threw something around the top of his head. It was soft. A blanket? A sweatshirt? Something that could be tied. He had kicked wildly, tried to pry the hand from his face, tried to scratch, tried to bite, but it made no difference. His heart was pounding in his ears, but he heard a car approach. Fear forced his muscles to tighten to the point of pain. He tasted the coppery, metallic taste of blood, but it was from his own cheek, caught in the clenching of his jaw. The sound of a car door sliding broke through the fullness in his ears. A van. He felt his feet lift off the ground, a pain stabbing under his arms where he'd been held. He came down hard on the floor of the vehicle, his face feeling cold where the hand had lost its grip. A scream grew in his throat, but hardly made it out of his mouth before he was harshly grabbed again, the hand returning to his lips. The door slid closed, and he felt the vehicle lurch forward. His hands, sweaty and shaking, were pulled behind him and tied together. Someone spoke from the front of the van, firm and demanding. "Don't hurt him unless you have to. The less damage we do, the better." That should have been reassuring, but he knew he wasn't the target. His wife had made enemies. It was inevitable in her line of work, and he knew the danger. Years with no incidents had given him a false sense of security. He should have taken the time to prepared. A self-defense class or two might have done him some good, or learning to shoot a gun. It wasn't for his wife's lack of insistence. He just kept putting it off. And now it was too late. Surely she had prepared, right? Surely she wouldn't fall for a trap like this. She was clever. He had faith in that. He didn't know how long they'd driven, not for sure, but it was long enough for the hand on his mouth to relax, and for him to know that yelling wouldn't help him. When the van stopped, he'd been pulled out of it and carried through a heavy door he remembered hearing slam. He heard the sound of heavy footsteps on stairs and the echoes that followed. A stairwell, then. He struggled to focus, the shoulder of one of his captors digging uncomfortably into his gut. He tried to shift himself to sit more comfortably, but he found he was held too tightly. There was the sound of unintelligible whispers, another heavy door, and moments later he was lowered to his feet and pushed down onto a hard metal chair. Alessandro Fochetta. It wasn't said as a question. They knew who he was. He wouldn't give them the satisfaction of a response. Your wife, La Vipera Nera. How much do you suppose you're worth to her? He couldn't fight them off. He knew that the second they'd assaulted him, but he could keep his mouth shut. He heard his interrogator tap impatiently on something. A table? I'm sure it's hard to place value on things when you're the most successful thief in Los Angeles. Money doesn't mean the same thing to you as it does to everyone else, does it? Silence. Again. Al was sure he'd make it out of this. And if his wife did too, she'd surely have something to say about being called the most successful thief in LA. Successful? Without a doubt. Thief? She'd fume at the label. He found it hard not to laugh aloud at the thought. They were right. Money didn't mean the same thing to them. It meant something far different 15 years earlier, when the two of them survived off bread, peanut butter, 69 boxes of dried pasta, and canned tuna. But now? Did money mean anything at all anymore? It doesn't matter. Once she sends us $20,000, you're free to go. Al felt a smile form on his lips. He tried to swallow the laugh that was threatening to burst from him, but it came out anyway. He heard a clatter, something thrown to the floor. Anger laced his interrogator's voice. What the fuck is so funny? Ale sucked in his lips, trying to stifle his laughter. 20,000. So you've gone and pissed off La Viperanera for $20,000? He fought another wave of laughter, reminding himself where he was. He didn't know these people. They could still kill her. There were plenty of people who'd pay more than $20,000 for her head. You could have asked her for $20,000. She might have wondered what for. But she knows what it's like to be desperate for money. It's what had gotten her into the business she was in, after all. Instead, you decided to kidnap her husband and hold him for ransom. No, I don't think she'll give you the money, even if you really were just going to let me go. I think she's going to kill you. He felt a rush of cool air as the man stood. You better hope she makes this easy for all of us. And with that, he was gone. Ale leaned back, feeling the cool steel of the chair through his shirt. It felt nice. Wherever they had him, they hadn't bothered to turn on any air. He wondered what plan his wife would cook up, and let himself imagine it for a few minutes. The silence was broken by footsteps on the hard floor, and he felt someone lean over him. His breath quickened, but he forced it to slow. Their hand gripped the cloth at his head, and he felt a rush of cooler air against his forehead as it was removed. He opened his eyes, expecting to take in a view of the room, but it was complete darkness. He didn't hear the person retreat, but he no longer felt them next to him. How long has it been? He was suddenly aware of how dry his mouth was. Half hour, a voice answered. It wasn't his interrogator. It was too shaky, too unsure. He sounded young. someone roped into a task that was way over his head. Ale almost felt sorry for him. He didn't know how long his wife would take. Part of him hoped it wouldn't take long at all. But part of him knew that the longer it took, the more solid her plan would be. In the meantime, the room seemed to suffocate him. Sweat beaded on his face. He could feel it slide down his neck. He hoped he'd be conscious when she finally did come. He felt as if he was swaying, but in the darkness, he couldn't quite tell. How long has it been? 47 minutes. It had to be close to an hour now. He would have to prepare himself for hours longer. He wished he had a drink. Suddenly, a wedge of light illuminated the room as a door swung open. Al turned away, unaccustomed to the brightness. Through squinted eyes, he took in what he could of the room. The walls were covered with foam squares to dampen the sound. The only furniture was the chair where he sat, and an office chair that sat parallel to him. He could see someone standing in the corner, still bathed in darkness. The person who'd been keeping track of time. How had he done so? In the dark. There hadn't been the light of a phone, at least that Al had noticed. A frantic boy entered, his face pale and drenched in sweat. Cut his hands free. We need him. She's here. She's inside. He looked over his shoulder as if expecting her to jump out at him. The man in the corner was clearly shaken by the words, jumping forward to cut the tie at Alay's hands. Inside. How did she get inside? Darwin was guarding the... She shot him. She didn't even say anything. She just came out of nowhere, shot him, and forced her way in. He sounded as if he was fighting back tears. Ale wasn't the vengeful type, and under most circumstances, neither was his wife. He'd be lying if he said he didn't feel at least a little bad. So what are we going to do? Give him to her. That's what she's here for, isn't it? Ayla felt their fear, though he wasn't sure why. He had been them, or at least similar to them. He had been a terrified 20-year-old, not sure where his next meal would come from, not sure what he would have to do to make rent. These two certainly didn't seem the masterminds behind this plan, regardless. No, that was the man who'd interrogated him. A man old enough to know better. A man arrogant enough to think he could kidnap Alessandro Foccetta and live to tell the tale, and with an extra $20,000 in his pocket. The man who was in here before. The one who asked me questions. Who is he? They froze, or as near to freezing as they could get while still shaking. His name! I need his name! There was more force behind his words now. They shifted uncomfortably on their feet. Leon Metzger, Ailey nodded. With the door open, he could hear someone yelling, and the crack of a gunshot. I can find my way from here. He left the room, closing the door behind him. Sparing them could be dangerous, but killing them would be senseless. Metzger was the one he wanted. Plus, he could easily give them $10,000, and he was sure they'd do whatever he asked. He could remember when 10,000 seemed life-changing. The hallway outside the door was like that of a parking garage, only narrower. It was concrete on the walls and floor, with large, orange-tinted lights along the ceiling. He went toward the commotion. This wasn't a massive operation, half a dozen men at most, and 2 of them were in the room he'd just left. How many stood between him and his wife? He broke into a run, hoping the next person he ran into would be her. Another gunshot rang out, the sound bouncing its way down the halls. He was close. He turned a corner to see his knight in black, bulletproof armor, a seething glower on her face. Her expression immediately brightened as she hastened to him. "Are you all right? Are you hurt?" She looked him over, seeming afraid to touch him in case he was injured. I'm fine. I'm assuming you are too." He poked playfully at the bulky vest she wore. She nodded, but her face grew serious again. "How many were there?" She started down the hallway, 4 at most. He would tell her the truth when she didn't have a gun in her hand, and she wasn't searching for men to kill. Leon Metzger, he's the one in charge. I've taken down 3, so that leaves Mr. Metzger. He wouldn't charge at the woman with a gun. So where is he hiding? Metzger didn't give them the chance to wonder. He appeared down the hall as if on cue, turning and confidently leaning against the wall. There she is, the famed Black Viper herself. You really are as fearsome as they say, aren't you? Honestly, I didn't. Another gunshot, then another, and another. Metzger crumpled to the floor like a thrown rag doll. All heard his wife sigh heavily. From relief, he was sure. She turned to face him, taking him into a strong embrace. The Velcro of her vest scratched at his face, but he didn't care. He was safe. She was a criminal. She drew attention and danger, but so long as she was there, he knew he was safe. She pulled back, tucking the gun against her back in the waistband of her pants. "Are you sure you're all right?" She moved her hands along his arms and chest, as if checking him over. "I'm okay, really." He held a hand to his stomach. "I'm kind of hungry, though. Starving, actually." She laughed, wrapping an arm around him and leading him towards the exit. She paid the lifeless bodies no mind as they walked past, and all did the same. "We still have enough time to get to our dinner reservations," she said cheerfully as he pulled open the door for her. "Actually, I'm really craving pasta. The dried pasta we used to get, with the jarred sauce from the dollar store." She gave him a questioning look, but only for a moment. Yeah, that sounds perfect. Bafts. I don't think you should. I really don't think you should. Get your anxiety under control. Do you know the consequences of doing something like this? Do you know the consequences of not doing it? We could die. We could die. So many more can die if we don't. You're not thinking. You're being selfish. Selfish? Did you ever consider that we're here because we're heroes? Heroes? Do you have a God complex? If we pull this off, we'll save millions. Tell me that's not heroic. So you are doing it to be famous? No. The money? Stop. The glory? You're distracting me. We have more work to do. I don't think we should. Now there's a we? Cha. You can turn back, but I'm going. Don't leave me. Go back the way we came. It's a straight shot to the exit. I'm dizzy. Breathe. I'm so faint. I don't have time for this. Ow! Why did you do that? You deserved it. I don't think I did. Fine. Stay here then. Don't leave. I have to keep moving. You're such an Shh. What's that? Shh. What's that? We're running out of time. Come on. What was that? Not sure. It came from the way we came. So, no exit? Likely not. No choice but to keep it moving. How much longer? Are you really asking me if we're there yet? No, I'm asking you how much longer until we get there. Here. What's this? What do you think it is? Well, it's obviously a map, but it looks like my son drew it. Shh. I don't know. Someone else, maybe? Shh. We're fine. Just stay quiet. Those aren't people. Get off me. Then be quiet. What? They're bats. Bats? Wait. Where are you going? Bats. Are you scared of bats? Of course I'm not scared of bats. You seem very scared about the bats. Stop saying bats. Come on, let's keep moving. Are you scared of things that fly? No, I'm not scared of bats. Now shut up and give me the map. It's okay that you're scarred down. Shut up. It's this way. Let's keep moving. Why? If it was just bats, then we can go back. Humanity's survival depends on it. Oh, really? Let's think. We're in a dark cave, trying to find the greatest threat to humanity. With a map that looks like it was drawn by a toddler, we almost got mauled by bats. And now we're lost. We're not lost? Then where are we? We're close. Left or right? Left. The bats went left. Right. Yup. I mean, let's go right. Because you're scared of the bats? Because the bats won't go where the weapons is. Right. Right. How do you know it's a weapon? What? The corp never said it was a weapon. They said they didn't know what the threat looks like. What else could it be? A person. A person? Really? I don't know. I don't know what we're looking for, or how our bosses don't know anything either. With all the money at the corp, you would think they would have a better idea, or a better map. We know it's a threat to humanity, and it's somewhere in this cave. Right. No, I don't think right was right. Are you saying that because of this dead end? Let's backtrack and go left. With the bats? With the bats. What if it's a bat? What? What if the greatest threat to humanity is a bat? A megabat? Do you hear yourself? Megabat? It's happened before. Humans are the greatest threat to humanity, and the things they create. We're looking for a weapon. A thing. Whatever you say, let's follow the bats. You're so grumpy. Will you please shut it? Tam. I'm hungry. We don't have food. What do you mean we don't have food? We didn't bring food. We were supposed to be there already. What time is it? Oh, 200. No wonder. It's lunchtime. Lunch at 2 in the morning. I work the overnight shift. So, 10. What is it you do on the overnight shift? I'm the custodian. The custodian? Shh, you'll wake the bats. Explain. Right now. But explain, or we're not moving. And we're not eating. I thought you didn't have food. Explain. Now. Fine. I work as the custodian for the corp. Do you know Dr. Merlin? Never met her. Everyone says she's a kook. She's no kook. She's a genius. Very smart. Is that trail mix? Finish your story, and you get it. Last week, she was on edge. So I say, Dr. M, what's up? Yeah? And she tells me that there's new intelligence about some threat, and all of the field agents are cowardly salads. Cowardly salads? She's a tough lady, but she talks like an old-timey movie star sometimes. Her expressions. All right. So how did you end up here? Well, I told her that if there was anything else I could do to help her to let me know. So she put you in the field? Did you even have any training? I got about a week of training with the corp. Are you kidding me? Can I have that trail mix? You didn't think to mention any of this to me before? I thought you knew. Trail mix? Here, let's keep moving. Holy shit. Uh-oh? No, 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 no. I told you it was Bafts. Hey, my trail mix. Focus. Why aren't they on the ceiling? They look like they're protected something. Someone. What? Look, there's hair. Oh, no. Nope. Nope. I'm not going in there. Give me the trail mix. Stop thinking about food. Give it to maybe they eat trail mix. Stop throwing it. You're gonna piss them off. Look, they like it. What are you doing? They'll follow the trail of the mix. Fuck this and fuck you. Stupid corp putting me down here with a... It's working. Cowardly salad. Don't even Is that a real person? I told you the weapon wasn't a thing. Here, bats. Here, my little cutie patooties. Hey! Yes, you are misunderstood, little guys. No? Hey, she's not real. What? Who? The lady that the bats were crowding around. She looks fake. Like dummy, or a mannequin, or something. Oh no. What? I think that's Dr. Merlin. The kook? It's a good replica, like in a wax museum. You ever go to Madame Tussauds? Focus. I am. It's a good copy. Only thing is, the ring is wrong. She wears it on her left hand. Don't touch her! Wow. Did you just do that? I think so. I didn't mean to. It opened when I tried to move her ring. Why did you? Is that a laptop in her abdominal cavity? It's a transmitter. Is that a countdown? And coordinates. Do you know navigation? I know that 1 is New York. That's Moscow. 2 minutes. I think it's calibrated to all the major cities. 1 minute, 50 seconds. I can see that. I think it'll send signals to those coordinates where there's likely bombs or nukes or something. The mechanism can't be communicating via satellite. There's no service here. Yeah, not even the sat phone's working down here. It must be low-frequency transmissions, perhaps to another point right outside of the cave, which then likely connects via satellite. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. We don't have time to find the outside receiver, so we'll have to block the waves from here. You know a lot about radios for a custodian. Before I immigrated, I was a radio specialist for my country's special forces. Okay. I didn't know. You never asked. So what do? We need to get the bats back. What? They were keeping the equipment at the ideal temperature while keeping themselves cool against metal Merlin. If we can lure them back, then maybe they can provide enough insulation to cut the signal. That's stupid. That's plan B. What's plan A? We only have 1 minute. Plan A is that I will try to jam the equipment with my tools. Okay, what can I do? Go get the bats. What? I'm not familiar with this system, so plan A might not work. 45 seconds. Get the bats back here. Scare them, and they'll flock to Merlin. How do you know that? Do you have any other ideas? How am I supposed to scare the bats? They don't like fire. Take this Zippo and make a torch from something. I don't think. 30 seconds. Please. Merlin, what have you done? I believed in you. Now you betray humanity like this. What a shame, because you really are a genius. I have no idea how you made this transmitter, but it is very elegant. I'm impressed, disappointed, but also very impressed. 10 seconds. We're not going to make it. Oh. Yes, over here, cutie patooties. Go to your mama. Go, go. Why are you in your underwear? I put my clothes over Robot Merlin to try and damp the signal. Why are your underwear? I made torches. Good work. Yeah, you too. Do you think it worked? We won't know until we get outside. Let's go then. Here, take a torch. Thanks. You were a very brave salad with the bats. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't ask you anything about yourself, and for slapping you. All good. Do you have any more trail mix? Silent, but deadly. The grass waves to the breath-filled song of the wind. No, wait. That doesn't sound quite right. Maybe just the voice of the wind. The luscious grass dances as the wind sings. Something like that anyway. I look around me, casually, like I'm taking in the view, and not at all looking for a sudden change in the landscape that would signal my end. Should I admit that I'm scared? I'd be mad not to. But then this is madness. I'm narrating my life because my life actually depends on it. The moment I go quiet, it'll come for me. I know that much. Sneaky bollocks, tricking people into being quiet when that's how it finds them. I still don't get that. What form of creature finds its prey via silence? I thought it might hate sound, but no one is quiet in their final moments. And it doesn't seem fazed by the screaming. I shouldn't talk about that. Difficult to filter, though. I can't stop the words coming out. The words are my shield. All I have to do is think of things to say as I walk these next few fields, and then I'll be in the next village. and I can find a radio, or just something, anything, to make some noise for me. Then I can sleep. I am so tired. Wait a minute. What if I yawn? Does a yawn count? Or will I be interrupting the flow of sound that protects me? I can't fall or hit a limb against anything, nor can I snag myself on an errant nail. Errant. Where did that come from? I've noticed that my language is getting more flowery. That's good. I don't have to find quite so many words. They're flowing out from me, as though the tap in my mind has been turned a little more. I never knew I had a tap in my mind. This'll do. I can manage this. And I need to stay on top of it, conscious of the stream. I don't want to get carried away and pause in a fog of confusion. I could say any old words. I could do that, but I think I'd go mad as I stirred that crazy word salad around. And then where would I be? I need to keep it together, find somewhere to sit it out, surround myself with a wall of sound, and then sleep? Sleep seems a world away. I'd need someone with me, so we could take it in turns to sit watch. Would that work? Would a radio even work? Does it work if the noise isn't coming from you? Does the quality of the sound make a difference? A voice that comes from a mouth is different to one that comes via a speaker. Am I kidding myself? Does it matter that I'm kidding myself? I've made it this far, and that's pretty good. I had safety in numbers for a while back there. It's about survival now. I'm on my own. I've got to keep going. Buy myself time. The creatures might not even be here anymore. Moved on to easier pickings. I don't believe that for a moment. You're still there, aren't you guys? Watching and waiting. All I have to do is pause these words of mine, and you'll be skipping out to meet me in the middle of this damn field. I'd say that you don't see them coming. That's not quite right. It's that when you do see them coming, you're done for. Game over. What little warning you have is useless. A blur of movement. Pain. Gone. You can't outrun what you can't see. They don't move like anything on this earth. There's no approach, no stalking. They come from nowhere, and the more I think about it, I do think they come from some other dimension. They just appear as though they can pass through gaps in space-time that we can't see. Could they be demons? That makes more and more sense to me. Come to snatch our souls away. Consume us. The end of days. No one thought it would look like this, sound like this. Do our voices cover another sound? The beating of our hearts? Or is it really the sound of our silence that beckons them forth? I'm searching for answers where I think there are likely none. That's what we do, though, isn't it? We search for answers. We walk into a room we've never been in before, and we wonder what the hell it all is. Thankfully, rooms have conventions, like bloody walls and a sodding floor and a buggering ceiling, crappy sofas if it's a living room, a shitty cooker, and an arsehole fridge if it's a kitchen, a bastard bed if it's a... What the hell has happened here? It looks the same, but it's entirely different. I loved walking through these fields. Now it's all painted in violent death. Everyone's violent death. My violent death. I don't want to die. Not like this. But what makes me different? What makes me so special that I think I can evade the fate of everyone else? I'd laugh if this wasn't so serious. I don't think I'll ever laugh again. At least it's quick. It seems quick, anyway. Oh, what if they drag you through those invisible gaps? What if the pain goes on beyond what I have seen? Why do my thoughts go there? Think happy thoughts. Why is the bloody happy cupboard bare? I wish we lived by the sea. That would be nice. I wonder whether they can follow you over the water. I hope not. I hope there are places that they can't go. I hope they eventually give up. They won't, though, will they? Would we? Perhaps they're aliens. Or a lab experiment gone wrong. Doesn't matter, though, does it? If my nemesis introduced himself as Norman, shook my hand, and did me the courtesy of telling me what he was, where he came from, and why he and his mates were wreaking violent and bloody murder across the planet, it doesn't change the important bit, does it? I'm not going to smile and tell him that that's all right then. I suppose it would give me the opportunity for a moment of defiance. I could tell Norman, the planet conqueror, to bugger off. You know what? I can do that anyway, can't I? I can shout my defiance at this new world of Normans. I might not have the final word, but I'll have given him what for. Might even feel good, if only for the duration of my shouting. Yeah, I'm going to do it. What have I got to lose? I'm going to lose anyway, so may as well go for it. Tell you what, Norman, I'm going to primal scream it. I'm going to dig deep down and bring my ancient part to the fore. We are animals, after all. A force to be reckoned with. And I don't give a shit if I lose my voice doing it. I will keep talking afterwards in any case. You're not getting me like that, you sneaky little bastard. Here goes. Bugger off, Norman. Yeah. Wow. Hey, what was that? I can still see it. A gap. Norman! I shouted, a gap open. That's why you don't like our voices. Our voices are our power. Oh yes, of course they are. This changes everything. Yes. I'm going to bring it to you, Normie baby. I'm going through that gap of yours, and I'm going to shout your whole house down. What else is there? I can't keep this talk up. You'll get me in the end if I keep running away. But if I bring it to you and shout you down, that might just do it. I'm coming for you, Norm. And we're going to talk it out. Just you and me. Then, when we're done, I'll tell all your friends. I've got hope now, Norman. Hope and a plan. Best of all, I have belief. That makes me dangerous. We're not sheep. We were never sheep. We're not even wolves. We're different, and we're difficult. We're magic, Norman. And my words are a spell you are not going to break. Coming, whether you're ready or not. Night call. What do you want? Hey, can you come over? Are you fucking serious? It is 3 in the morning. No! So, I'm sorry. I know it's late. I just really need you to come to the house right now. I can't believe you. You blocked me. What makes you think I want to see you right now? I've been trying to reach out to you for weeks. Peter, you can lecture me all you want in person when you get here. I really need you to come over fast. No, forget it. Bye. There's a man outside. What? What does that mean? I don't know. I just woke up. I got up, and when I walked by the window, I noticed that there's this guy standing outside, and he's looking up at me. Are the lights in your house turned off? Yes, they weren't even on. Okay. How long has he been out there? I have no idea. I've been peeking out at him from behind the curtains for like 5 minutes, and he hasn't moved. Call the cops, Dylan. I don't think they'll take it seriously. He's across the street. He's nowhere near my property. He isn't really doing anything. He might just live in the neighborhood. He'll probably move along soon, but he's been just standing there for a while. It's freaking me out. Well, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Wake up your dad? My dad can't fucking walk. What do you think he's gonna do? So is this urgent or not? Why did you call me? What do you want me to do about it? I don't know. I thought you could maybe pull up in the driveway or something. That might be enough to scare him off. All right, Dylan. I know you're freaking out right now, but I'm gonna have to ask you to turn your brain on for a minute. I live 20 minutes away. Even if I were all too thrilled to jump in my car at the ass crack of dawn and drive over to you, I'd bet you anything that this guy is gonna be gone by the time that I get there. I am not wasting my time and burning gas so that I can drive over to your side of town for nothing. I've already done way too much of that when we were together. I don't owe you that anymore. If you're really, truly scared, then call the police. They will send somebody out. Block me again if you must. I'm going back to bed. Do you think I like doing this, Peter? Don't start. You are the last person on Earth I want to talk to right now. We wouldn't be having this conversation at all if I weren't absolutely mortified. There is nobody else I can reach out to about this. Oh? I'm sure one of your little boyfriends would love to help you out. Why don't you give them a call? Yeah, I did. You were not my first choice. Nobody answered. I thought you were mature enough to set your bitterness aside and come help me. I thought my safety would matter more to you than all the trivial problems you had with me. My mistake. Dylan, quit fucking around and call the police. I'm not gonna argue with you. God, you're dense. Wait, I know what this is about. What, Peter? Enlighten me. What do you think you know? There is no guy. What are you talking about? I'm looking right at him. There's nobody outside. I know you, dude. You're scared of everything. There is no way in hell that you'd let some random man stand outside your house and look in your window any time of the day, especially not at 3 in the morning. You would have called the police immediately, not taken any risk calling me to come do something about it. You know that I don't like cops. Yeah, I didn't forget. I know that you don't like creepy men either. You've always struggled with common sense, but I don't think you'd waste so much time reaching out to me if you felt like you were in any real danger. I think you're pulling some fake emergency shit so you can get my attention. Yeah, I think you've been wanting to reach out to me, but you don't want to talk about everything that went down between us before you blocked me. I think it's an immature and disgusting thing to lie about. But it doesn't surprise me that you'd pull something like this. Look, call me tomorrow and we can talk about things. This is just not a good time right now. He's gone. Dylan, were you listening to me? Yeah, whatever. I looked away from the window while you were talking, and I looked back, and the guy isn't there anymore. Oh, I'm sure. Hold on, I'm gonna open the window. Take your time, bud. He's not anywhere down the street. I'm going to check the backyard. I don't remember if I locked the gate or not. So are you just gonna completely ignore everything that I just said to you? Sorry, I kinda zoned out. What did you say? You're fucking sick, man. Is that all? No, it isn't. This little scheme of yours is fucking revolting. I never should have answered your call. I don't have time for this bullshit. I have to get up for work in 3 hours. I know that this is fake because you still haven't called the police. You haven't denied a single thing that I accused you of. You're gonna stretch this conversation out for as long as you can. There's no man in your yard. There never was. You wanted my attention, and you got it. This is genuinely the worst thing you've ever done, Dylan. I hope you know that. I don't want to hear from you ever again after I hang up this call. I'm done with you. I've put up with your bullshit for nearly 5 years, and it ends tonight. This really pisses me off, man. Dylan, are you listening to me? Dylan. Hi, sorry. Dylan? What happened? Oh, nothing. Huh? Sorry to bother you. I'm gonna go. Wait. Why do you sound like that? What do you mean? You sound different. How? Your voice. It sounds rougher than it did before. I've got allergies. Good night. Hey, hold on. What? Did you hear anything that I told you? I set my phone down. Sorry. Did you go outside? Yes? Okay. Was the gate locked? Yes, I locked it. That's good. So, there's no guy? No. I need you to be 1,000% honest with me, Dylan. Okay. Was there ever really a man outside? No. So you were lying in order to reach out to me? Yeah. Why? I don't know. Is there anything you wanted to talk to me about? No. It's late. I'll call you tomorrow. Hey, Dylan? What? What's my name? My dad is calling me. Dylan, say my name. Good night. Dylan! A tale to tell. Is anyone sitting here? Harriet looked up at the older woman standing at the other end of the bench. No, not that I can see, she responded, thinking to herself, does it look like anyone sitting there? Her day had been hectic, and she desperately wanted to get home. The woman sat down, fussing her fur coat around her and shifting her ample bosom into place. I hear the train to Fauchester is delayed. How bothersome. Yes, it is. I'm not sure what's happening. Harriet glanced at the woman and then resumed her gaze on the departure board as destinations and times flicked updates, all except for the Fauchester line, which still said, departing at 14:10. It was now 3:20. I don't know what's happened to our railways. The older woman lifted her chin and adjusted her green cloche hat. It never used to be like this. At least someone would let you know what was going on. I just wish it would hurry up. Harriet glanced at her watch, as if doing so might cause something to happen. It really has disrupted my day. I should have been at a very important appointment in Fauchester with my accountant, you understand. These things are very important. It doesn't do to keep people waiting like this. Really, it doesn't. Harriet glanced at the woman. She was much older than her, in her mid-60s at least. And to Harriet, the talk of accountants, her fur coat, patent leather clasp handbag, and matching shoes left her feeling rather insignificant. I just need to get home. There's so much I need to do. And I've left Freddie with... She paused. Suddenly, her circumstances seemed so trivial in comparison with the rather affluent-looking women she was sharing the bench with. Freddie? You've left him. What have you left him with? If you don't mind me inquiring, of course. We seem to be stuck here, so we might as well have a chat to while away the time. Well, you see, Freddie, he works for me at the office. Oh, I see. And you've had to leave him in charge, have you? What sort of office, if you don't mind me asking? The insurance brokers. You might know it. Harland and Tapsfield on Fountain Street. That much was true. Harriet worked as a part-time typist for the company, juggling her hours there with managing the small terraced house, her young son, and Freddie, her husband, who worked night shifts at the steel works. Oh yes, I think I do. Just near the provincial bank? Yes, I know the place. That's right. I'm a manager there. Harriet craned her head to look down the platform, hoping a guard or someone might be able to tell her when the train would be coming. But apart from other waiting people and the odd pigeon, there was no one who could cast any light on the situation. I really wish they'd let us know what's going on, she sighed. Insurance? I never could stand our insurance man. Silly little man with a pork pie hat and a mustache that always had bits of his lunch stuck in it. My husband dealt with all that, of course. Wilfred, bless his soul. You do seem very young to be in charge at an insurance broker's. Oh, well, I might only be 25, but I'm very good at what I do. I certainly wouldn't have my people going around with lunch stuck in their mustaches. Harriet gave a small smile. I'm Harriet, by the way. Harriet West. Well, I'm pleased to meet you, Harriet West. I'm Dora Barton. You might have heard of me, or perhaps not. You may be of use to me someday if I'm needing to set up any insurance. Not that I should need to mind. My accountant sorts out that kind of thing for me. That must be nice, having someone to look after your affairs like that. It can be quite tiring, my dear, making sure they're doing the right thing. But I expect you know what that's like. Running an insurance, brokers must be dreadfully hard work, especially for a woman. And so young, too. Dora Barton looked Harriet up and down with a steely eye, taking in her slightly scuffed court shoes and raincoat that had seen better days. Her gaze left Harriet feeling rather uncomfortable, and she shuffled in her seat, reaching into her handbag. Actually, I really must make a phone call. Make sure that Freddie, at the office, I just need to speak to him. There's a telephone booth just at the end of the platform. I'll just go and see if I can reach him. Yes? Of course, dear. I can see you must be quite anxious. I'll make sure no one takes your seat while you're gone. And Dora spread herself a little more across the seat and placed her handbag at her side. Harriet strode quickly down the platform and into the small telephone booth where she dialed the number for home. Come on, Freddie, pick up. I've only got a couple of coins, she muttered. A clunk was heard at the end of the line, and Harriet quickly pushed her coins into the well-worn slot. Freddie, is that you? Well, of course it is. Who do you think it would be? Harry? What's up? Shouldn't you be back home by now? You know I like a couple of pints before my shift starts. Yes, it's me. The train is delayed. I don't know when it's going to arrive. Could you look after Michael until I get back? Well, I don't know, love. I thought you'd be back by now. Those trousers of mine still need mending, you know. Oh, well, Mrs. Bentley next door will have him, I'm sure, if you really have to go. I'll sort out your trousers when I get back. You know I will. You should be back by now, Harry. This isn't like you. I know. It's the train. Oh, Freddie, please just beep, beep, beep. The pips went at the end of the line, and Harriet placed the receiver back in its cradle with a heavy thunk. Hoping desperately that Mrs. Bentley would be home, she trailed back to the bench where she could see Dora Barton talking to a man in a guard's uniform. So I said back then that the service wasn't acceptable, but it doesn't seem they've taken any notice. I'm sorry, madam. Like I said, there's a fallen tree across the line, and it's taking the fellas a while to shift it. A big one it is. Great big oak tree. Must have been the storms we had last week that weakened it or something. Came all the way down the banking, it did. The guard paused and looked at Harriet. Hello, miss. I was just telling your companion here about the tree that's blocking the Fauchester line. A tree? Oh no. How long is it going to take to clear? They don't know, interrupted Dora. They don't seem to be able to get their act together. I don't think I'm going to be able to keep my appointment now. It's going to be far too late. I'll let you ladies know if I hear anything else. The guard gave a brief smile and headed towards a group of frustrated-looking people further down the platform. Did you get everything sorted out at the office? Asked Dora, budging back down the bench as Harriet sat down. The office? Oh, yes, that? Yes. Freddie is fine. He's got everything in hand. At least I hope he has. Harriet's voice trailed off. Oh, you don't sound too sure. Freddie's okay. Really, he is. I can trust him. Just sometimes I need to check he's got everything under control. The two women sat quietly for a moment. The departure board continued to flick and update the details of all the trains except for theirs. Then, the bing-bong-bing of the tannoy. The 1410 Fauchester train is delayed. We know that, muttered Dora. And work is currently taking place to remove the obstructing tree from the line. We now expect the next train departing from this station to Fauchester to be at 17:30 hours. That's another hour and a half, wailed Harriet as she looked at her watch. It's really not good enough, tutted Dora. Honestly, what a way to spend a Tuesday afternoon. You know, in some respects, I think Tuesdays are far worse than Mondays. You know where you are with a Monday. You've got the whole week ahead of you, and you just get on with it. But Tuesday, it's as though you've managed to get Monday out of the way. But Friday still seems such a long way away. I suppose you won't make your accountant's appointment now? Harriet looked at the older woman, who was taking a lipstick from her bag and reapplying the red hue to her mouth. You're right. There's no sense in me waiting for a train now. How about I buy you a cup of tea in the cafe over there, as a thank you for keeping me company, and then I'll be on my way. Well, if you're sure, that would be nice. Better than sitting here for another hour. It's getting a bit chilly too, don't you think? The two ladies made their way across the station concourse to a small, bustling cafe, full with other people waiting for the delayed train. There's a table in the corner there, said Harriet. I'll grab it if you can get the tea. Yes? That's fine, dear. I'll do that. Harriet settled herself at the corner table, noting the various people who were filling the small cafe. Businessmen, people with shopping bags, women with small children, fractious at the delay. She thought of Michael and prayed that Freddie would find Mrs. Bentley at home. Her eyes shifted to the counter, where she could see Dora Barton fumbling in her bag. "Well, I'm quite sure it was here," she was saying to the surly-looking woman behind the counter. Dora looked over at Harriet and raised her shoulders in confusion. Not wanting to make a scene, Harriet shuffled her way between the busy tables towards Dora. "This lady here's got no money to pay for the tea," said the woman behind the counter, not seeming to care who could hear. And a few heads turned to see what the commotion was all about. "I do have money, I do," protested Dora. "But it's not here," she continued, looking in her bag, which, from where Harriet stood, appeared to contain only handkerchiefs and lipsticks. "Maybe you do," said the woman behind the counter, "but these teas won't pay for themselves." She looked at Harriet. "Have you got any money to pay with?" "Well, I think so." Harriet knew she only had a £1 note in her purse that she needed for the week's groceries. Dora and the woman behind the counter both looked at her, and with a small sigh, Harriet took the note from her purse and handed it to the woman. "That'll be 1.04 shillings," said the woman, as she took change from the till and handed it to Harriet. "Enjoy your tea." Back at the table, Dora lowered her voice. "My purse must have been stolen. I had it earlier. I'm so very embarrassed. Goodness knows what that woman must have thought." "I'm sure it will turn up," said Harriet, anxiously glancing out of the window to see if anything was happening that might indicate a train would be here soon. "Perhaps you left it at home." "Home? Well, perhaps I did that. But I must thank you for paying, though I'm sure, with your job, you won't mind spending a few pennies on a cup of tea. It's so terribly humiliating to be found with no money. What must you think of me?" Dora paused for a moment, and then her demeanor changed, the earlier air of confidence almost evaporating before Harriet's eyes. "You see, they said it would always be okay. But when Wilfred died, Wilfred was my husband. Understand? Well, what can I say? He left me in rather a pickle, I'm afraid." "Oh, I'm sorry." Harriet sensed the change in the woman and softened her tone. "What happened to your husband?" "I really don't remember. It was so long ago. I was playing Titania in A Midsummer Night's Dream at the Palace Theater at the time. Everything is such a blur. I'm sure I remember the funeral. The lovely man who played Puck was there. He said something. I can just remember. If we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended. Yes, that's right. All is mended." "Dora, are you okay?" Harriet reached across the table and tentatively touched the older lady's arm. Immediately, Dora pulled her arm back in haste, as though something had bitten her. "Don't touch me. No, don't do that." Harriet retracted her hand quickly, reaching for her teacup to steady herself. She looked at Dora over its rim. "I hope you'll be all right, Dora, but I think I'll go and see what's happening with the train just now." "Yes, you do that. They might have the Pullman carriage ready for me now, See if you can hurry them along, dear. Dora opened her handbag and feverishly reapplied her lipstick again. But I thought... Harriet was distracted by a scene playing out on the concourse outside the cafe. A woman in a long brown Macintosh and a man in a white coat were standing talking to the guard. The woman was gesturing with her arms, pointing down the platform and then back towards the street. The man in the white coat stood quietly, and the guard looked up and down, scratching his head underneath his cap. His eyes traced across the station, and then did a double take and stopped at the cafe. He looked at Harriet, who was just getting out of her seat, and pointed in her direction. The woman ran across the station, the man in the white coat following her as she burst into the cafe. "Mother!" she called across the small table-filled room. The voices in the cafe fell to a hush, and everyone looked at the woman, and then in Harriet and Dora's direction. "Don't let them take me." Dora grabbed Harriet's arm. "Please." The woman pushed her way between the tables, and now stood trembling as she looked down at Dora, who had her hands over her head and was trying to push herself as far as possible into the corner. "Mother, please, we've been worried sick. Where have you been? Leave me alone. This lady here is looking after me. See, she bought me tea, and she runs an insurance broker's, so she is quite capable. I don't need you or your doctor friend over there." The woman in the brown Macintosh looked at Harriet, eyebrows raised and questions etched across her face. "The train was delayed, and your mother sat next to me. She's missed her appointment with the accountant in Fochester, I'm afraid," Harriet said, attempting to explain the situation. "Accountant? Fochester? Oh, what has she been saying?" The woman looked in despair at the man in the white coat, who was now standing behind her. "I think I should go." Harriet picked up her handbag. "I really need to make sure I get on the train. Freddie is going to go crazy, and poor Michael will wonder where I am." "You tell Freddie to do as you say," piped up Dora from the corner. "You're the boss. Don't have him telling you what to do." "I think we should get Mrs. Barton back to my surgery," said the man in the white coat calmly. "We can get her settled down there. Come on now, Mother." The woman touched Dora's shoulder. Dora shirked away. "Let's get you back to talk to nice Mr. Davidson here, and no running off this time." She looked at Harriet. "Would you believe it? We only left her for less than a minute. We've been looking for her for the last 2 hours. Well, I'm glad you found her." Harriet moved to the other side of the woman. "Goodbye, Dora. It was nice to meet you." Dora looked up from the corner, dabbing her handkerchief at her mouth. "You tell that Freddie of yours," she said. "You tell him to mend his own trousers and to look after that little boy of yours properly." Harriet stared for a moment, unsure if she'd heard correctly, then hastened her goodbye and made her way towards the platform where the delayed 1410 to Fochester was pulling into the station. Later that evening, Harriet tucked Michael into his cot and placed a gentle goodnight kiss on his forehead. She stood at the bedroom door and smiled, watching for a moment as her son fell into a blissful slumber. Downstairs, she took Freddie's torn trousers that he'd left strewn across the sofa and put them in a bag of scrap fabric that she kept in the cupboard under the stairs. She then made herself a cup of tea and settled down to read her favorite magazine. As Harriet West turned the pages of her magazine, 20 miles away, behind a locked bedroom door, Dora Barton lay in her small single bed, staring up at the ceiling and beyond. And Dora Barton smiled. What lies behind her mirror? Detective Sarah Chen stared at the ornate Victorian mirror, its silver surface reflecting nothing but shadows in the dim light of the abandoned mansion. 3 days, 3 women missing, and all connected to this house. The mirror seemed to mock her with its emptiness. Find anything? Detective Mike Rodriguez's voice echoed from the hallway. Just another dead end, Sarah replied. But something about the mirror kept drawing her attention. The curved floral patterns along its frame seemed to shift in her peripheral vision. But when she looked directly at them, they were perfectly still. The homeowner's alibi checks out, Mike said, entering the room. He was in Tokyo when the first woman disappeared. Sarah traced her fingers along the mirror's frame. What about his wife? That's where it gets interesting. Mike pulled out his notebook. Mrs. Eleanor Wright hasn't been seen in public for 6 months. Neighbors say she became a recluse after their daughter's suicide last year. Sarah's hand froze on the frame. Suicide? That wasn't in the case file, because it wasn't ruled a suicide officially. The daughter, Rebecca Wright, 19, was found in this room, in front of this mirror, with no signs of trauma. Toxicology came back clean. They called it natural causes, but 19-year-olds don't just die of natural causes, Sarah finished. She leaned closer to the mirror, her breath fogging the glass. For a moment, she thought she saw something move behind her reflection, a shadow darker than the others. Here's the part that'll give you chills, Mike continued. Each of our missing women reported seeing someone following them in mirrors before they disappeared. Their therapists all noted it as a shared delusion. Sarah stepped back from the mirror. All 3 saw someone in mirrors, a woman in a black dress, according to their descriptions. They said she would watch them, getting closer each time, but only in reflections, never in real life. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Sarah pulled her jacket tighter. We need to talk to Mrs. Wright. Already tried. The housekeeper says she hasn't left her room in 3 months. Won't see anyone. Won't talk to anyone. Sarah's phone buzzed. A text from forensics. Lab results are in on the dust samples from the missing women's homes. Anything useful? Traces of silver nitrate. And Sarah squinted at the screen. Something they can't identify. Some kind of organic compound they've never seen before. A floorboard creaked behind them. Both detectives spun around, but the doorway was empty. When Sarah turned back to the mirror, she caught a glimpse of movement, a flash of black fabric disappearing around the edge of the reflection. "Tell me you saw that," she whispered. Mike shook his head. "Saw what?" Sarah approached the mirror again, her heart pounding. The frame felt cold under her fingers, much colder than it should be. "We need to get this mirror to the lab. Sarah, it's just a mirror. We need to focus on finding Mrs. Wright, and 3 women are missing, Mike. All saw someone in mirrors before they vanished. Rebecca Wright dies mysteriously in front of this specific mirror. And now I'm seeing..." She stopped, realizing how it would sound. "You're seeing something in the mirror, too?" Mike's voice carried a note of concern. "Maybe you should take a break. You've been working this case non-stop for..." A laugh echoed through the room. High, feminine, and definitely not coming from either of them. Mike drew his gun, scanning the shadows. "NYPD, show yourself." Sarah couldn't move. In the mirror, a woman in a black Victorian dress stood directly behind her. But when Sarah spun around, there was nothing there. The figure remained in the reflection, smiling. "Mike," Sarah's voice shook. "Look in the mirror." He turned, and his face went pale. That's not possible." The woman in black raised a finger to her lips, then pointed to something behind them. Against their better judgment, both detectives turned. A door had appeared in the wall, a door that hadn't been there moments ago. It stood slightly ajar, revealing a silver glow beyond. "Call for backup," Sarah said, drawing her weapon. Mike already had his phone out. No signal. The woman in the mirror laughed again, the sound seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. When they looked back at the reflection, she was gone. But words had appeared in the fog of Sarah's breath on the glass. "Come find us. We need to leave," Mike said, backing toward the room's entrance. "Now." But Sarah stood transfixed by the mirror. In its depths, she could now see multiple figures. Women in modern clothing, frozen in poses of terror, their faces familiar from the missing persons reports. And behind them, barely visible, was Rebecca Wright, mouthing 2 words over and over. "Help us. The killer isn't Mrs. Wright," Sarah whispered. "It's the mirror. Somehow, it's the mirror." "That's impossible. Mirrors don't kidnap people. Mirrors don't kill. 3 months ago, I would have agreed with you." Sarah's fingers found a catch in the mirror's frame, a small lever hidden among the floral patterns. But look at the evidence. The silver nitrate in their homes, the mysterious compound, the shared visions. What if this isn't just a mirror? What if it's a door? A door to where? Sarah pressed the lever. The mirror's surface rippled like water, and through it, they could hear distant screams. "I don't know," she answered. "But those women are still alive in there. and we're going to get them out. Mike grabbed her arm. Wait. If this is real, if this is actually happening, we need a plan. We need equipment. We need to move now. Sarah cut him off. Look, the ripples in the mirror's surface were spreading to the frame, to the wall around it. The door behind them creaked wider, the silver light growing brighter. It's not just a portal, Sarah realized. It's expanding. If we don't stop it now, it'll take over the whole house, Mike finished. The whole city. Sarah checked her gun, knowing it might be useless against whatever waited on the other side. I'm going in. Call for backup if you get a signal. If I'm not back in 30 minutes, I'm coming with you, Mike said firmly. Partners don't let partners enter interdimensional mirrors alone. Despite everything, Sarah smiled. Ready? Mike nodded. Ready. Together, they stepped through the rippling surface. The last thing they saw in the normal world was their own reflections, distorting and fragmenting as reality bent around them. Then, they were falling through silver light, the screams growing louder. And somewhere ahead, a woman in black was laughing. The mirror stood silent in the empty room, its surface slowly stilling until it once again showed only shadows. But if anyone had looked closely, they might have seen new figures in its depths. A man and woman in police uniforms, running through an endless maze of mirrors, chasing a figure in a black dress who always stayed just out of reach. And on the wall, in elegant Victorian script, new words appeared in the dust. Who will come looking for them? Who was it then? Friday night. Mary, a 24-year-old girl, tired from job, was going to her childhood bestie, Julia. Julia and I studied in the same class, murmured Mary, sitting in Metropolitan. God, I can't believe this is happening. I am going to meet my best friend after 9 years. I am full of tears, said Mary, with eyes full of tears in her eyes. Actually, these tears were symbolizing her happiness and grief at the same time. She was remembering the moments spent with her Julia. Hey, miss, can we talk, if you don't mind? Questioned Mary from a young lady in front of her. The young lady was surprised that a girl wanted to share her feelings in an excitement. She could not stop herself from knowing the reason behind her excitement. Yeah, of course, replied the young lady. Myself, Mary. I am 24 and work for Walmart. Just got a weekend free for myself. I am just going to meet my childhood bestie named Julia. I still remember the days we bunked up classes together, the way we jumped in the playground, enjoyed the lunch together, stole food of other classmates, and ruined the notebooks to be checked by teachers. Ha ha. Mary spoke out all of this in breathless. But wait, she started crying while laughing. What was it? Wondered the young lady. She asked the reason that why she became suddenly sad. Mary replied, She was always in a gloomy mood in the morning. Her dad used to beat her mom a lot. She was from Islam. She used to tell me that her dad did not allow her mom to stand, even by the window of balcony. Slapped her mom without telling any reason. Always in a hurry of money for drinking alcohol. One day, her mom refused to give money for it. As a result, her dad broke a leg of her mom. She became very upset on that day. I advised many times to her that she should encourage her mom for divorce. But she said that mom will never agree upon it. On the day she told me about her mom's broken leg, I did not know that it would be the last day to see her in the school. After that, she never came. Just this is the story of ours. Ah, that was such a sad ending, wondered the young lady. So now you are finally going to meet up your bestie, right? Asked the young lady. Yes, replied Mary. The young lady asked her that. From where did Mary got her friend's address? Mary told that she went to her friend's old address, and the neighbors told that the family has shifted to Newtown B. Ah, just 2 kms away, and my destination will be right there. I am coming, Julia, spoke Mary. The young lady asked her many other questions, like why did Mary wait for so many years? Mary told that she became busy in her busy and boring life. Also, she answered her many other questions. Now, it was the time when Station was finally going to be there. The young lady could not stop herself from getting off with Mary. She actually wanted to know about many other things, and also wanted to know that how does her friend and family look now. She decided to go with Mary to Julia's home. When they both finally arrived at their destination, Mary knocked the door. A man aged about 70 to 72 opened the door. Mary ran to the house and started shouting, "Julia! Oh my Julu! Julie, where are you? I have arrived. Now don't play hide and seek." The old man spoke. "What rubbish! What the hell is it?" Julia was my wife. She died 40 years ago in a car accident with her mom. Mary replied, "I am not joking. I know her since childhood. She could not be dead, and she was young, not that much aged. We played just 9 years ago. She told me everything happened to her mom." Mary told all the information and story about Julia to that old man. The old man shocked and cried with tears that the story was real. He went to his old suitcase and got a very old album of Julia's birth to marriage pictures. He showed it to both the ladies. They got extremely shocked. The old man said, "One day, she was drunk from a party. She was driving to get back to home with her mom, and I was waiting for her at the dinner with my brother and his wife. The car just crashed the huge truck, and after that, she died. Her mom was in coma. But Julia was not anymore. She left all of us with that heartbreaking feeling. Julia's story is exactly matching to the story of her mom's weasel life. I don't know. Where did you got this information? From the kids? It's been 40 years. She is dead, but I always try to feel her presence. But she never came in my dream. Not even a single time. I don't know how to meet her. I just want to get that soon. I hope this is possible as soon as possible. I'm just waiting for my death each day. Actually, yeah, it is true that her childhood was really very bad. Her dad used to be her mom. Without any reason, didn't allow her to move outside with freedom. Once he broke her leg as well. And after that, her mom became handicapped. Julie met me, and we were married. We were actually good friends in college. After we got married, her dad was dead. Her mom shifted to us. They both were actually happy, but she never could forgive her. That because her dad had ruined her mom and her childhood. The flood got out of their feet. That how could this happen? Mary was shocked that the story was true, and Julie's face was the same. But how could this be like that? She was an old lady, already dead, and wondered that what about the girl she played with all the time? All of the three started crying, and the young lady was very frightened. She tremblingly said, "Who was it then? Nowhere to be found. She's gone missing? When? Last night. I woke up this morning, and she wasn't in her bed. I thought maybe she'd gone to the bathroom, but she wasn't there either. I checked everywhere. Oh my God, Tori, did you check the backyard? Maybe she went outside to play early. Of course, I checked the backyard. I checked the whole house, top to bottom. She's not the type to just wander off, especially not this early in the morning." Okay. Have you called the police? Not yet. I don't know. I was so panicked. I called you first. You know how they are. They'll assume the worst, that I'm a bad mother. Tori, stop. Listen to me. You need to call them now. The sooner they start looking, the better. Every second counts. You're right. I'll call them now. Good. I'll be right over. Just stay put. Thank you, Sam. I don't know what I'd do without you. Don't worry. We'll find her. Just breathe. 911. What's your emergency? My daughter. She's missing. I can't find her anywhere. Ma'am, can you give me your name and address? Victoria Brooks, 123 Main Street. And the missing person's name and age? Rose Brooks. She's 6 years old. She has long dark hair, light brown eyes, and she was wearing her favorite pajamas, the ones with the little bunnies on them. Mrs. Brooks, we'll send someone over to take a statement. In the meantime, try not to worry. But how can I not worry? She's just a little girl. I understand, ma'am. But it's important that you stay calm. and answer the officer's questions clearly. Can you do that? Yes, I'll try. Good. An officer will be there soon. Tori, it's me, Sam. Oh, thank God. I'm so glad you're here. I'm a mess. I told you I'd come. Have the police been here yet? Not yet. They said they'd send someone over soon. Did you find anything else? Any clues? Anything out of place? Nothing. It's like she just vanished into thin air. Her bed was unmade, as if she got up normally. But her favorite stuffed animal, Mr. Snuggles, is gone too. Mr. Snuggles? That's her little teddy bear, right? Yes. She never goes anywhere without him. It's strange. Maybe she took him with her. Did you check the windows? Are any of them unlocked? I don't know. I'll check. The one in the living room was unlocked, but it's too high for her to reach. Oh, God. Do you think someone took her? We don't know that yet, Tori. Let's not jump to conclusions. Maybe she climbed on a chair or something. We need to stay calm and wait for the police. Someone's at the door. I think that's them. Hello? I'm Detective Smith. You must be Mrs. Brooks. Yes, that's me. Come in. I'm here to ask you some questions about your daughter's disappearance. Of course. Anything to help find her. Can you tell me what happened last night? I put Rose to bed around 8 p.m. I read her a story, like always. She was asleep within minutes. I checked on her a few times throughout the night, and she was sound asleep. But when I woke up this morning, she was gone. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Any strange noises? Any cars outside? Anything like that? Nothing. It was a normal night. We had dinner, watched a little TV, then got ready for bed. Everything was fine. What about her father? Is he in the picture? Yes, my husband. But he's deployed overseas. And you're sure you checked everywhere in the house? Yes, I'm positive. I even checked the backyard, the shed, the basement, everywhere. Did Rose have any friends or other family she might have gone to? Anyone she might wander off to see? No, she's only 6. She doesn't have any friends outside of school, and my family lives out of state. All right, Mrs. Brooks. We're going to start our investigation and let you know if we find anything. But before we leave, we'll need to take a look around the house, if that's fine with you. Of course, Detective. Anything to help find my Rose. Thank you. And please, try to stay hopeful. We'll do everything we can to find your daughter. I appreciate that, Tori. I'm going to go check the park down the street. Rose loves playing there. Maybe she wandered off there last night. That's a good idea. I'll stay here in case the police come back. All right. I'll call you if I find anything. Be careful, Sam. Hello? Tori. It's me. I found something. What is it? Did you find Rose? No, but I found Mr. Snuggles. It was lying on the ground near the playground. Oh my God. What does that mean? I don't know, but it can't be good. I'm going to call the police and let them know. Please, hurry. I'm coming over there right now. No, Tori, wait. The police wouldn't want us to contaminate the scene. Just stay at the house. But I know, but we have to trust them. I'm calling them right now. 911. What's your emergency? Hello, Detective Smith, please. Please hold. Detective Smith speaking. Detective, it's Samantha Jones. Sam, Tori Brooks' friend. I found Rose's teddy bear, the one she always carries around. It was just lying on the ground at the neighborhood park. What? Okay, I'm on my way. Can you stay there and make sure nobody touches anything? Yes, of course. Thank you. I'll be there soon. Tori, the police are on their way to the park. They're going to search the area. Oh God, I hope they find her. I know. We just have to stay positive. I'm trying, but it's getting harder and harder. I get it. Just hang in there. They'll find something. I'm certain of it. Detective Smith, we've searched the entire park, but there's no sign of the girl. Damn it! We need to widen our search. Check all the nearby houses and businesses. See if anyone saw anything. Check security cameras. Anything. We need to find this little girl, and we're running out of time. Yes, sir. Tori, the police are widening their search. They're checking all the houses in the neighborhood, talking to people, looking at security footage. That's good, right? It means they're taking this seriously? Yes. It means they're not giving up. I hope so. I can't lose her. They'll find her, Tori. I know they will. I hope you're right. I think the police are back. Mrs. Brooks, we have some news. Is it about Rose? Did you find her? Yes, we found her. Oh my God, is she okay? Is she hurt? She's alive. But she's been through a lot. We found her in an abandoned house a few blocks from here. She was hiding in a closet. Who took her? Why? Was she hurt? We're still investigating. But we have a suspect in custody. It appears to be a case of a kidnapping gone bad. The suspect has a history of similar offenses. Rose is being checked out at the hospital, but she seems physically unharmed. Oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe someone would do this. I understand. It's a terrible thing. But the important thing is that Rose is alive. Can I see her? Yes, of course. She's at the hospital right now. We'll take you there. Thank you, Detective. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Mrs. Brooks. We're just glad we could bring your daughter home. Rose! Mommy! Mrs. Brooks. I'm so glad Rose is okay. Me too. I can't believe this nightmare is finally over. I know it's been a long day, but it's a happy ending. Yes, it is. A very happy ending, but frightening nevertheless. We need to get you both home. But first, we'll need to speak with Rose. Detective, Rose has been through a lot. Could we do this tomorrow? Perhaps you could stop by the house around noon. Sure, I understand. I'll have an officer drive you all home. Thank you. And in the meantime, I'm never letting her out of my sight again. I think that's a good idea. The last phone call. Mom, finally. I thought our weekly calls from the station were pre-scheduled. I was worried. Hey, sweetie. Sorry about that. Things have been a bit chaotic up here. Solar radiation's been causing issues with communications. You usually call on Sunday. It's Wednesday. You know how space is. Unpredictable. The ionosphere is wreaking havoc on everything up here. It took me a while to get through with the available channels. Restricted, I guess. I hadn't heard about a radiation storm. Anyway, how's the research going? Can't complain. How's school? Weird. I've noticed a lot of strange stuff happening lately. For example, we were setting up the club telescopes in the park on Monday when some official showed up. He said he was with the Space Weather Center. Told Mr. Hayes they were expecting a massive solar flare and had to shut down all civilian solar observations. Said they didn't want any students getting blinded if it happened during observation. Your comms problem isn't related, is it? Could be. The SWC must have seen something. There might be. Wait. That's completely wrong. And Mr. Hayes knows it. Solar filters protect our eyes during normal observation. And even the big flares are not that bright at optical wavelengths. Plus, if there really was a huge, dangerous flare coming, they'd have issued a public warning. The whole thing makes no sense. Huh. Maybe the official was simplifying the explanation, or didn't fully understand. For our astronomy club? Come on, Mom. We're smarter than that. We're all AP students. Mr. Hayes was confused too. I don't think he bought it either. Sarah, why would they bother sending someone in person to a small astronomy club meetup in the park? Why didn't they just send an email warning to the school? Or just issue a general public notice? This guy showed up flashing credentials, telling us to pack it in immediately. It makes no sense. I don't know. Maybe they weren't sure you'd get it in time. And Dad? Mom, I'm worried about him. He barely sleeps. I hear him pacing at night. Yesterday morning, I found him asleep at the kitchen table, still in his work clothes. Well, you know your dad. He's just under a lot of pressure, more than usual lately, always taking his work too seriously. So, how's that physics project you were telling me about? It's going good, Mom. I'll make an A, like always. But Dad, he let it slip. They're updating deep space tracking systems. Yeah, I heard that too. He never was good at keeping secrets. All of them? At once? On emergency status? Who told you it was emergency status? No one. I overheard him on the phone. You shouldn't eavesdrop. I just want to know what's going on. Just tell me. I'm doing my best, sweetie. But you're not telling me everything. Look, honey, you know I can't always tell you everything. So, let's talk about your birthday coming up. 17. Wow. I'm sorry I won't be there. I hear Aunt Paula and your dad have something special planned. Forget my birthday. Something's wrong. The NASA website's been down for days. Maintenance, they say. These things happen. They're probably just doing upgrades or fixing a server issue. During the same week that all the major observatories stopped updating their websites, Sarah, and why did Aunt Paula buy extra supplies? What do you mean? I dropped by after school yesterday. She was carrying in boxes of food for her storm shelter, just in case, she said. She also mentioned that you called her yesterday. I've been trying to reach you for the last 3 days. You found time to call her, but didn't call me. Keep Aunt Paula's phone number handy. It's always nice to have someone to depend on, just in case. Mom, stop. Something's happening. Just tell me. Nothing's happening. We're just conducting routine research. Then explain the launches. You know, I track this stuff for the astronomy club. What? 5 days ago. China, Russia, and NASA all launched within hours of each other. No warnings, no announcements. All classified payloads at the same time. Honey, it's likely just coincidence. Sometimes agencies coordinate for unrelated reasons. You know, NASA likes to cooperate with other agencies. I might have believed that, but amateur astronomers tracked 2 of the rockets, posted the trajectory data online. Then their data disappeared. And now those same astronomers aren't responding to anyone. They've gone dark. You really need to stop reading conspiracy theories online. These aren't theories. I've seen the videos from people who live near the launch sites. Those have been taken down, too. I checked the trajectories myself. They're all going to the ISS, aren't they? And why did the ISS change orbit? Sarah, NASA's. It's complicated. Just some specialized equipment and for our research. Okay? The Russians are sending up new cosmonauts. The ISS is just performing a standard maneuver, Sarah. Space debris is unpredictable. You know how it is. Nothing you need to worry about. Really? China finally claimed it was a weather satellite launch? Why did Russia lie in their announcement today? They said it was engine testing. And why hasn't NASA said something? These things are complicated. No one launches secret missions in perfect sync by accident, Mom. Remember when you taught me about Occam's razor? Sarah and the astronomy forums are going crazy about something near Jupiter. But the posts keep disappearing. Internet hoaxes. Don't believe everything you read online. No? No, it's not. Dad got a call late last night. It woke me up. I got up and saw him make several calls. He looked rattled. Then he told me this morning that he needs to leave for a few days. For work. So, Mom, I couldn't help but overhear Dad's side of the call. He said something about a spacecraft and a collision course. Mom? Sarah, it's not what you think. These conversations are never straightforward. Your dad deals with classified projects all the time. You should get some sleep, honey. It's late there. He's never acted like this. What's on a collision course? Sarah, please, I can't talk about this right now. All those launches, the spacecraft, the deleted information. It's too much to be a coincidence. They're hiding something, Mom. And you know, Sarah, it's just... Stop, okay? You're not... Mom, are you preparing for something? It's not just research, is it? I can't have this conversation. The Chinese, the Russians, NASA, the ISS, you're all working together. In secret. Sarah, quit it. Now. You're not studying anything. You're trying to stop something. Sarah, I can't do this. I have to go. How big is it? How big? What? The asteroid. That's what it is, isn't it? That's why all the telescopes are shut down. Why everything's classified. You don't want people to panic. Mom, you always were too smart for your own good. How bad? I have to go. Mom, please, don't tell anyone about this call. What? I mean it. It's important. Promise me. I promise. I love you, Sarah. More than anything. Always remember that. Okay? No matter what. Mom, are you going to be on that spacecraft? Mom, please tell me you're not. Be strong, Sarah. Like I know you can. Remember how much I love you. And know that I'm doing everything I can to come back to you. And stay close to Aunt Paula. Just in case. Mom, just be careful and come home soon. Mom, this call has been terminated. I love you too. Stay safe. The suicide shop. The suicide shop. When I first saw Kevin Trask, he was almost naked. Perhaps fully naked in my mind's eye. But he was wearing the skimpiest of bathing suits as he got out of his pool, stretched and toweled himself in the noonday sun. He could have modeled for any underwear ad. He was that chiseled, with long, angular lines from head to toe. I was both disappointed and relieved when he put on a purple silk robe. How appropriate, I thought, for the king of his world. He had yet to speak, despite acknowledging my presence with a brief nod. He was dead wrong if he intended for me to feel cowed by his superiority. I hated what he did for a living. Inside or outside? He asked as he came closer to me. I must have looked confused, or perhaps still caught in the daze of watching him get out of the pool. The interview? Oh, okay, I stammered, instantly regretting how I must have sounded to him, but then quickly recovered. Inside, I said. Too much sun out here, and I did not bring sunscreen. Inside, I groaned, thinking I could not sound any more stupid and thrown off by his looks, like any schoolgirl, instead of a crack reporter for the Daily Interview, a serious national magazine, a Pulitzer Prize finalist, for God's sake. Jeannie Hawk, crack reporter, bowled over by a Chippendale. Follow me. He turned and walked away from the house, and then through a hidden door in the outbuilding next to the pool. I like to use this room, out of earshot of the staff. NDAs can only cover so much. I don't want to be overheard spilling state secrets, he said with a smile. The interview will take about an hour, I said. He sat down and pressed a button on the side of his chair. The wall on the right side rolled away to reveal floor-to-ceiling window panes, revealing a view of the valley and city below. Nice view, I said. Fit for the Lord of all he surveys. He chuckled. I like it. Okay then, Jeannie Hawk, ask away. He got up and went to the wet bar. Drink? Just water. Kevin Trask rarely did interviews. and I wanted to take full advantage of his time. Indeed, other than a few transitory answers at press conferences, he had never given a full interview. I placed my recorder and notebook on the coffee table before me, then dug into my purse for a pen. He watched me as I set up the tools of the trade. "Why both?" he asked. "Why both pen and paper and recorder?" "I always like backup," I said. "I never did trust technology," he shrugged. "I do." I studied him, taking in the sculptured beauty of his face, the one plastered all over the country on magazines, billboards, and buses. He took you into his eyes, forgiving all, a confessor and father, brother, even lover, all at once, leaving you wanting to do nothing but fall into those eyes and let it all go, listening to his voice as he told you to come find the peace you sought, the release you need, the end you had to have. And here I was, sitting before the real person behind those ads. I shook myself back to the task at hand. "This is Jeannie Hawk, date June 1st, 2035. So, Mr. Trask," he stopped me with a hand. "Call me Kevin," he said, inviting me to continue. "So Kevin," I stressed the word, "how did it all start? Where did you get the idea for the suicide shop?" "People have always wanted to kill themselves, Jeannie. I made a way for them to do that and live should they choose, and also to die should they choose that. It turns out that being able to do that all in one place made for an attractive business." My turn to hold up a hand. "Kevin, if I had wanted to listen to one of the suicide shop ads, I could have simply turned on the television. Every idea starts somewhere. I want to know your start. What drove you at the beginning and made you create all this?" Trask watched me interminably, emotions playing deep in his green eyes. Then he seemed to come to a conclusion. "I walked into the ocean to die, and I did not die." He paused a long second, and then began again. "I walked into the ocean to die, to let the waves wash over me and take me away. I thought the pills I had taken with the booze I had drunk would kick in and block any pain. I had been depressed for a long time and wanted it to end. I picked a spot where, when I sat down, the water came up to my neck. Then I waited. Oddly, I did not think about much. I just sat and waited. Perhaps it was the booze and the drugs. I don't know. But what was ahead of me was just a blank. Nothing that held any terror. I fell asleep for what I thought would be the last time. The water would take me, and I would be at peace. When I woke, the first light of dawn glimmered on the horizon. I was now sitting on wet sand, naked, the water's edge now 5 feet behind me. The tide had gone out, not in, and now I was sober and exposed very, very naked. I raced to my clothes, still piled on the sand. I pulled the shorts on and then slipped back into my hotel room. No one saw me on the beach at that time of the morning. I would have made quite a sight to the old couples who strolled the early morning hours on the sand, hunting for shells and health. You cannot imagine how foolish I felt, both lucky and a total failure simultaneously. The odd thing was that I no longer wished to die. My depression was gone, lifted from me like a weight that held me down. I felt light and released and did not fear the future. He stopped, not looking at me, lost in thoughts of long ago. I asked, "If you did not want to die anymore, then why did you start a company that provides suicide as a service?" He returned to the present, looked at me with those eyes that poured deep into my soul, and smiled. "Have you ever wanted to kill yourself, Jeannie?" "Of course not," I said, perhaps a bit too briskly. "I don't believe you. Most people want to, at least once at some point in their lives, only to be stopped by circumstance or fear. Morality offers only partial protection. When you do it, it seems like a good idea at the time." I never forgot that. I had truly wanted to die. I had no reservations, and yet I did not die. And in that not dying, my life was given back to me. I went to work in various businesses, creating a living for myself and doing very well. I watched as society's attitude toward suicide changed, and a new movement started. My life, my body movement swept the country, sometimes not easily, but it continued to grow. People had become tired of being told what to do, no matter whether it meant being told what to do to live or being told what to do to die. They looked at it like a new war of independence, and they won. Congress eventually passed the My Life, My Body Act, making suicide legal. I helped, worked for the movement, and gave my money and time. I had a plan that I had ready for the time that came. I saw a need to provide people with a way to explore the suicide scenario safely, to see if that was indeed what they wanted, or if, like me, they would find that it was just a good idea at the time. So, I opened my first suicide shop. There, you could try the various ways to do yourself in. I expected that many people would regret the act if saved from it, just as I had been. I arranged multiple ways to try. A menu, so to speak, death a la carte, all safe unless you flipped off the safety switch. Then it became permanent, but it was rarely used. Most preferred the safe try. The first shop was so successful that I franchised it, and it became the largest chain of any company in the country, and over the years, in the world. Would you like to see the inside of the shop? Absolutely. I followed him out of the house, down to a parking area with a large blue Rolls-Royce and a red Lamborghini. The chauffeur was waiting by the Rolls, and I expected him to get in that one, but he crossed the parking lot floor and held the door of the Lamborghini open for me. I like to drive. Do you feel you are doing all this for the money? I asked when we were driving. He just looked straight ahead, weaving in and out of the traffic, expertly guiding the car. I thought I saw a small curl in the corner of his lips, just the beginning of a smile. That's an old gambit, not very inventive, and surely you can come up with better. I provide a service. Others could do it as well, but I think my way gives people a chance to reconsider, to change their minds, and not complete the task if they are not truly committed. True, I said. What about those who come back repeatedly? Are they not adrenaline death junkies, getting ever closer to the deed to keep getting high? This time, he did not smile. Off the record? Okay, I answered. I have worried about that. At first, it was just a blip on the data screens, but at least there was a distinct uptick in the repeat visits. There may be a sexual adrenaline component to it. How often have you done it? I asked. Many, many times. I sensed that there was more he wanted to say, but he just added, "It does make the bottom line look good. Do you have much security?" Oddly, not much. But we must guard the cars. We never know which trip could be their last. I let them park on site. Public lots complained about the abandoned vehicles. He parked the car, and we got out. We went to a private elevator, then up 4 floors, and then out to a large room. A hallway led out from it in 4 different directions, each lined by large glass doors on either side. He waved a languid arm to either side, and I watched pride form on his lips in a slow smile. Each room is a different experience, he said. Each room will be tuned to an individual's desires, just like tuning your radio dial to the deadly channel of death. This one, he said, pointing to the room to his right, is the overdose room, complete with all the world's favorite drugs, packaged in pill or IV form. If you want to go right to the edge and be pulled back, you must leave the safety switch in the safe position, and an aide will administer the antidote. Tell me of the other rooms. He moved on, waving his hand to either side, pointing out rooms for gunshots, cutting your wrists, throwing yourself out of a building or a cliff, car wrecks, death. By misadventure, even death by cop. There were many more rooms. Some take more preparation, mixing virtual and real reality in ways that can keep you alive unless you've turned off the safety switch. They are proprietary trade secrets that I can't tell you. We are quite adaptable. I felt the hair rising on my neck as he said this, realizing what appetites were being fulfilled here. I made a few notes, and my mind was racing. It's a cultural phenomenon, People use suicide as entertainment. I looked up at him and saw great weariness in his eyes, more than I would have expected. He was not a young man, but looked older than he should have when he did not smile. I suspected that he was unhappy with his creation. "Let's have a cup of coffee," he said. He led me down the hallway around the corner. There is a cafeteria coffee shop for people needing a timeout or a family that comes with them. Usually, if they bring family, they don't take the final plunge. Most of the time, they do that alone. He sat me down at the table and brought us each a cup of coffee. Mine was exactly what I wanted. Heavy duty, with lots of sugar. I wondered if he had been researching me. "Off the record," he said, watching me put my book away and ensure the recorder was powered off. The rest of our discussion should be off the record, as it might be bad for business. Going back to our previous discussion, people often ask why the person kills themselves. As I told you, I've always said that it is because it seems like a good idea at the time. The premise of my business was to have a way to explore that and find out if that's what you really wanted to do. Once the laws were changed and suicide became legal and a recognized right, it took on a life of its own. As you know, I have thousands of suicide shop franchises worldwide and gather data on the people who do it themselves. At first, it was a small number, but most people seemed to be looking for experience without true motivation. I've noticed, though, that the more you try, the more you return. And the more they return, the closer they get to the end. I believe you're right. Those people have developed an addiction. What is not known is that more people have died in the last 3 years of my shops than in all the wars the world over in those 3 years. To quote that old line, I have become death. He chuckled mercilessly. Beware of unintended consequences. "Can you stop it?" I said. He looked at me and smiled, but the smile seemed to have the weight of the world in it, preventing it from ever becoming full. "Turn your recorder back on. Let's finish the tour. You know I've never given an interview like this before. You may win a Pulitzer." We went to the last room. Inside the center of the room was a guillotine, one of my new additions. This device is one of the most efficient ways to kill ever invented. It's foolproof with the proper machine, quick in its finality, and I hope it is painless. Although you can't ask the subject after it's done. Of course, it has a safety switch. And as with all the rooms, I can measure all the physiologic signs right up to the actual death moment. This room has not had a customer yet. I would expect it to be the same. The sensors review the data and come up with what I call the fear acceptance ratio. The closer to 0 that ratio gets, the more certain it becomes that the person will go through with it and kill themselves. I have placed a monitor in each room that the customer cannot see, but my technicians can. That's it. there on the far wall. If my technicians see the number getting close to 0, they know to be ready to call in the cleanup crew. That's a detail that has never been revealed. Be sure you write that down. The safety switch is there by the right hand. In order to have the machine complete the task, you have to push it all the way to the right, and a green light will come on, and the computer will ask you if you are sure. If you say yes, the blade drops. He looked at me and asked, "Are you getting everything?" I nodded. "Stay here then, and watch." Then he slipped inside the room. I was unsure, but I thought I had heard him lock it. I saw him lay down on the guillotine and put the bracket over his neck, and heard it click into place. I heard his voice tell me the sensors were built into the machine. I looked at the monitor on the far wall and saw a flashing number that started at 7 and then crept quickly to 0. "Are you getting all that?" I heard him say. "Yes," I said, feeling a tremor of doom start to shake me. I wanted him out of that room. I saw him grasp the safety switch. His hand slowly pushed it towards the right. "Remember everything I said," I heard him say, as I tried to force my way through the door, but realized it was useless. Through the glass, I saw the safety switch turn green and heard the computer's voice asking if he was sure. Holding what I felt was my last breath, I heard him say, "Yes." "No, don't!" I screamed. "No, don't!" The blade dropped. The last thing I saw as my scream faded was his head rolling on the floor, stopping next to the glass, his dead green eyes on mine. I was still crying, "No, don't."